for us, for fans, for our viewers. It's been 4.5 months since we've had an opportunity to see these guys get out there and play, and for many of these coaching staffs too, to start to see what they've done with their work and with the training camp the last 2 weeks and how you begin to piece things together.
NBA is back. The Nets and the Pelicans in Orlando. Scott Foster, Brian Forte, and Leon Wood, the officiating crew. Nets turn it over as they controlled the tip, but a giveaway right out of the gate. Foul called on Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot. Jacques Vaughn is not the interim head coach, and important, maybe you think it's semantics, but the reality is he's been named the head coach for the NBA restart for the Brooklyn Nets.
And we've heard nothing but positive things from the player, from the staff, about his connectivity with these guys. That's not only including what's happening on the court, on the practice floor, but also off the court, in just the time in between during this pandemic and during the time when he was needing to be in touch with players. And so it's a nice thing to see now that they do get back to a little bit of normalcy here, getting basketball in play.
28 seconds into this game, Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot has 2 personal fouls. The Nets do not have a lot of depth. We're not going to see Jamal Crawford tonight. We're not going to see Tyler Johnson tonight. Dante Hall trying to get his way through the quarantine, and Lonzo Ball gets to the rim to get the scoring started for New Orleans.
And speaking of players that the New Orleans Pelicans fans and staff have been excited to see Lonzo Ball having a great year prior to the suspension, and he's looked good. It is some of the best numbers that he's put up, some of the best play that he's had.
3 ball from Garrett Temple, but on the other side, Jackson Hayes. This is going to be an area of concern for Brooklyn. The size disadvantage for the Nets. They don't have bigs. Pick and roll. Allen lost it. Recovers for the deuce.
Jared Allen, the one big they do have, and he's got a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, and you know that he is embracing that. But in saying that about the lack of bigs and depth in the front court, you're going to have to be creative.
Bank shot doesn't go for Hayes. It's knocked out of bounds. Last touched by New Orleans.
See right here, pick and roll play. Nice pass by Garrett Allen, the early help, and Jared Allen still maintains with the finish. And that's a lot, I think, of what we'll begin to see with this Nets offense. Whether it's playing 5 out, we see more screens being set, freedom of movement, opportunity to read and react off some of the plays. You got Caris LeVert who can isolate you up and go one-on-one, but some of these other players, it's going to be a lot of the passing and sharing.
Off the ball fake, Temple misses from the corner. Nets lead at 5-4 on New Orleans. Spin move, Ingram, most improved player in the NBA this season, an all-star, and it's out of bounds. Last touch by Brooklyn. Good collapsing defense by the Nets.
You see right there, it started with the spin move, but Jared Allen comes over quick. Nice recovery by Garrett Temple.
Ingram, he has really added to his game. 7'3" wingspan, 6'9", 190.
Well, it's amazing how much his efficiency from the floor and his shooting has opened up and unlocked so much else. And his skill set has continued to improve, but I just feel like his ability to knock down shots, it gives him so much more freedom to use his handles, use his ability to put it on the floor. And that frame is special.
Chiozza gets a piece, creates a turnover. Here's LeVert. Head and shoulder fake to the rim. He missed it on the interior, but he's there for the follow. Caris LeVert, who went on an absolute scoring spree before play was suspended in the NBA. He was averaging 27.5 points per game in the 5 games prior to the hiatus.
And speaking of someone whose shot was unlocked, Caris LeVert was excellent from 3.
Drew Holiday nails the triple. All-star back in 2013. Holiday, veteran presence now in his 11th season. Knocked out of bounds, nearly, but Temple goes back to get it. Melly with the deflection. Temple frees himself, bottom on a 3.
This looks a lot cleaner and more efficient than I anticipated. You never know what to expect. But, guys, shots looking smooth. Some rotations look good. This, early on with many of these scrimmages, I don't think any of us expect things to always go perfectly. You're going to see some sloppy basketball, but you could tell that these teams are taking the approach of a seriousness to these games.
LeVert off the miss, hooks it inside for Allen, and he draws the foul. These are 10-minute quarters, by the way. So this is our first break of the opening quarter, and Garrett Temple stroking it from the outside. His pregame show beginning at 6 p.m. and then come back after the game on ESPN for complete postgame coverage right here on Yes. Karis LeVert, the leadership for LeVert with no KD, with no Kyrie, with no Spencer Dinwiddie, on and on and on. That list is large. But now LeVert shifts into a bit of a different role. Still such a young guy at 25 years old in his fourth year. But if you look at his responsibility level, it goes up tenfold.
Well, and you listen to Jacques Vaughn, and he said he's had a different swagger about him, the eye contact, the leadership, how he's communicating with his teammates. And the one message he's given is just freedom. And freedom and the maturity to understand his potential. And we've seen it. I mean, the Boston game, the 51 points, the triple-double, the way that he was playing, not only last postseason, but before this hiatus, he has got all the goods. And he's got the belief. And that comes and stems from the work that he has put in and prepared himself to be in this position.
Pelicans lead the Nets by 2, and they add to it. Man, Brandon Ingram has just shown off his ability to make shots from anywhere on the floor. (16-11) Pelicans. Chiozza lines it up and buries it. A 3-ball for Chris Chiozza. Another emerging storyline for Brooklyn. The improvement and growth of Chiozza in a short period of time.
Well, 3 of his last 4 games prior to the suspension, Chiozza in double figures. He's shooting the lights out from the three-point line. I mean, it's not necessarily a small sample size through his time with the Nets. 44% in those 11 games that he played. And speaking of confidence, he's a guy who just understands his role, what he needs to do to organize the offense. And when he's got an opportunity to look to score, he takes it.
Foul called on Garrett Temple. 16-14 Pelicans. Holiday to the rack. Allen played a role there defensively, and he clears it for LeVert. One thing to look for from Jacques Vaughn in this offense, speeding it up in transition, trying to get easier buckets, getting out in space.
And part of that is just the personnel that they have, and part of that is just the style that they want to play with. Make or miss, get it and go. The opportunity to get more transition buckets, and that was something that the Nets didn't necessarily capitalize on. That wasn't a place where they were able to produce a lot of points. We'll see if this group in Orlando can do that.
Luwawu-Cabarrot off the mark.
Speaking of fast break teams, New Orleans Pelicans was one of the tops of those, and they look to push, they look to get it on the break. It's going to be really interesting to watch them as their team develops here through these scrimmages, and also in those seeding games as they push to try and get to the playoffs.
They give ball to Jay, and a loose ball foul called against the Nets. Again, this will be a concern, the lack of size for Brooklyn. Rodion Kurucs and John Musa getting ready to check in. But it's a Luwawu-Cabarrot foul that is number 3 on the Frenchman. Jackson Hayes, he will take a seat for New Orleans. J.J. Redick has checked in for the Pelicans. Redick makes his home right here in Brooklyn, actually. Down in the campus set up in Orlando now for the Pelicans. Kurucs, the rebound off the miss by Holiday. Kurucs is backing up at center and power forward. LeVert short. Long strides from Ingram. Chiozza got his hand in there, and a foul was called.
And Chiozza trying to stop the ball early, but you see the strides of Ingram, how much ground he covers. Reaching right there by Chiozza. It was fun to watch when Zion Williamson did return for these Pelicans team for that final stretch of those 19 games, how smoothly him and Brandon Ingram fit together. And that's the question of just the usage rate and having the ball in their hands and what can you do. And it really was special to see how quickly that developed.
Off the knockaway, the speed of Chiozza on display. Kurucs for Chiozza. He's matched up with Holiday. Now a switch. He's got Melli. Shot clock is down to 10. Chiozza trying to thread the needle, and Kurucs was cutting away from it. J.J. Redick, one of the best three-point shooters in the NBA. See how long it takes for him to heat up. Ball on the touch pass for Holiday. Melli trying to post up the much smaller Chiozza. And it's going the other way. Turnover. Pelicans. They catch Melli in the paint for an extended period. 16-14, New Orleans in front, 3:36 to go in this opening quarter. The NBA restart.
The setup looks nice.
It looks beautiful. It pops. Musa gives it up. Chiozza. Kurucs. Hard drive. Shot clock winding down. Musa hoists. Off the iron. Allen couldn't track it down, and it's out of bounds. A push. Jared Allen claiming that it wasn't me. Tried to pull a Shaggy.
Hands a little bit on Redick. Jared Allen probably had the case there. You saw some nice ball movement. That's going to be a big part of what the Nets are trying to do offensively. Musa will have a chance to show what he can do, but for him it's all about consistency and knocking down some of those shots. We know he's a player that is a shot maker, but thus far with the Brooklyn Nets hasn't been able to hit at a high efficiency. This is normally a scenario that you would have your eye on some cups in the stands, some spillage, popcorn falling on the floor.
Yeah, there will be no on-campus spillage.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I have to accept it. There are adjustments.
If you want me to toss a cup of ice across at you from our setup here, I can do that just to add to the enjoyment.
Yeah, maybe in the second half. Yeah, let me get my feet wet.
Oh, get your feet wet quick with some ice.
Chiozza's got the matchup he likes with Melli. Step back Jay. Chiozza misses it from the outside. Spin by Ingram. He got Temple to commit for a moment. He's back in. Oh, nice look underneath. Holiday could not finish it. Ball movement leads to a LeVert three. Pelicans lead it 18-14, 2.5 to go in this opening quarter. Jumper doesn't go for Josh Hart. LeVert turns on the gas and could not finish with the left hand.
And early on with some of these misses, a lot more is just getting the spots, getting those opportunities, creating some shots, and just how unprecedented and unique it is for how long these guys have been without playing 5-on-5, without playing, potentially without shooting. And the quickness of this training camp isn't going to bring it all back in the course of these last few weeks.
Etuan Moore in for New Orleans. Jump shot from Hart. He drains it. It's a triple. 21-14 New Orleans. Nets open 5 of 9. They've missed on their last 7 shot attempts. Jeremiah Martin in the game. We'll get into his story in a moment. And a foul called out front as Kurucs got tied up with Etuan Moore. So Chris Chiozza has gotten opportunities right before the hiatus. With Dinwiddie not part of it in Orlando, the Nets made a move with Jamal Crawford. Signing of Tyler Johnson. Jeremiah Martin was part of their program, and they loved what he was doing with the Brooklyn Nets on a 2-way deal. And we have heard nothing but positive things from Jock Vaughn and what Martin brings. He said he's Pat Beverly-like. Picks up full court, sets a tempo. He reacts on offense. They're not asking him to do a whole lot. They're asking him just to use his instincts and whatever has carried him through his outstanding career at Memphis and now getting a chance in the NBA.
And he's defensive-minded. You said it. He can pick you up full court. He's going to get into you on the defensive end. He's quick with the ball. He makes good decisions. And he's got an ability to compete. And what's been brought up is just the amount of engagement he's had, the questions that he asks. He has talked at length about his relationship with Chris Chiozza. Of course, both of those guys from Memphis, a year apart on Team Thad Young's AAU program, so has known him for so long. And I think just the experience they're both having on leaning on one another, but knows the plays, knows what is asked of him, and we've heard, as you said, great things from not only Jacque Vaughn, but also from his teammates.
That looked great for Rodions Kurucs. He was called on an offensive foul, but he was also grabbing at the tail end of it. We'll keep an eye on that. Jumper doesn't go. J.J. Redick and Lawawu Cabarrot has got slippery fingers.
That's what you're talking about, Bird, on the left. You see right there, Rody trying to set the screen, and you got a knee to the thigh.
Rodions Kurucs initially looked like it could be a part of the starting lineup, and by the way, he could. Who knows exactly what this is going to look like when the Nets have the official restart.
And that's a part of the understanding that the versatility is necessary. And the need for players, Jacque Vaughn has said, knowing 1 through 5. You need to know what every position is required on both ends of the floor because you never know where you're going to be put, what you might need to play, and how they may use it. A big part of it is using that size to try and dictate, muck things up a little bit, how they force other teams to play because of it.
Air ball for J.J. Redick. Question for the Nets right now, where is the offense going to come from with this group? Lawawu Cabarrot, short. Good effort there by Musa to keep it alive. Reset here for Brooklyn. Nets have 14 points on 5 of 18 shooting. Tip ball, it was Hayes who got a piece of it. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, the rookie from Virginia Tech, in, and he overcooked that jump shot. Nets can hold for 1 here. They trail New Orleans by 9. Jeremiah Martin, undrafted free agent, signed to a 2-way deal by Brooklyn on January 15th. He's got 6 to work with. Martin, step back Jay, the lefty delivery doesn't go. Too strong. Redick, a heave at the horn. The Nets go the final 5:50 in the opening quarter without scoring a point. They trail 23-14 to New Orleans. Second quarter action coming up on Yes.